I think I put a curse on myself when I wrote Born to Lose on the cover of this sketchbook. From the archives, here's a bit about its origins.
For this one, I just started sketching without much of a direction. I know what you're thinking, Larry, but hear me out. You see, it feels like a long time since I've done any art influenced by the mid-century cartoon modern graphic style. And it seemed to me like the cartoon modern style, these markers, and the kind of faux leathery vinyl surface on the cover of the sketchbook were kind of made for each other. And wanting to stick with the graphic style, I had to come up with elements to fill in the composition. The thought occurred to me that I should put something personal in this image, since it is my sketchbook after all. And there's someone close to me that's given me the nickname Poseidon. So, I gave the creature a crown. Now he's Poseidon, king of the sea. I think it's cool that Poseidon would look more aquatic rather than human as he's often portrayed. So I ran with it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be challenging myself to finish this entire sketchbook in a certain amount of time that I'm not going to disclose here in case I royally fail. You may have noticed that this cover says, Born to Lose. If I complete the sketchbook in my undisclosed time frame, I'm going to finish that statement on the back with a more positive ending.
Well, I never did finish this sketchbook, and I didn't get to give it that positive ending. As a matter of fact, I left it abandoned after I filled only a handful of pages. And I know how silly it sounds, but superstitiously, I think that might have sealed my fate over these past 4 years. I should have just finished what I started.
I know there's plenty of artists and creators with abandoned sketchbooks and projects, so I know I'm not alone here. But writing Born to Lose on this sketchbook has been weighing pretty heavily on me lately. I don't want to be a loser. It's easy to start a project. It's new, fresh, shiny, and exciting. But it does take commitment and some discipline, and it ain't always fast or easy. Sometimes even the smallest hurdle or bit of resistance is enough for the enthusiasm to wane and eventually lose all its power. I've got a black belt in starting, and comparatively, not so much in finishing. But why did I quit something with such low stakes as this sketchbook so soon? I mean, finishing this thing was just for me. It's personal. There's no clients or customers giving me deadlines. No one needs to show it at the next board meeting to design by committee the life out of it. Hell, I don't even have to show the sketchbook to anyone if I don't want to. For me, working in a sketchbook has always been like training in a dojo, where I'm either the master or the student, depending on whatever role I feel like taking on. It's a place to experiment and get bad ideas out, and a place to turn okay ideas into great ones. And it's a place to goof off without being told you can't. Whatever I put into these pages doesn't even have to be good. The pages just need to be filled. It's the epitome of finished is better than perfect. And really, the stakes are so low, and the bar is set only as high or low as I feel like I want it to be at any given moment. Quitting this sketchbook is pretty indicative of who I was about 4 years ago, and putting Born to Lose on the cover became a self-imposed destiny. I've been doing a lot of work to transform my life and myself over the past several months, and since this sketchbook got my attention again, it's become another symbolic part of my quest. Leaving this thing unfinished represents a version of me that I'm not proud of, and unfortunately, it set a precedent that the man I am today will not tolerate. Born to Lose. Symbolic as it may be, it's time for redemption. Each page I finish is going to get me closer to breaking my curse when I can finally write Live to Win on the back cover. This sketchbook, in its unfinished form, has become emblematic, marking the beginning of a descent into and through one of the worst times in my life. But it hasn't always been that way. I've been a finisher before, and I'm sure it goes without saying, there's more benefits that come with that than quitting. Psychologically, our brains crave and reward completion. When we finish a project, big or small, we get a hit of dopamine that tells us, that feels good, let's do it again, thus giving us a boost and motivation to repeat the action. And every time we finish what we start, we're developing discipline to make the next time a bit easier. Finishing what we start can establish a cycle of productivity. The opposite of that gets the opposite outcome. A cycle of procrastination. And procrastination only gives you mental clutter, the burden of disappointment, and it raises our stress levels. And that's a killer of creativity. When we finish what we start, we can take advantage of neuroplasticity and rewire our brains to make us more efficient and make neural connections that make us better at overcoming obstacles and achieving our goals. Science. On a personal level, finishing helps to squash self-doubt, increases your confidence, growth, expands your knowledge, experience, skill level. It increases our body of work, and the feeling of accomplishment we get from unlocking these achievements can make us feel unstoppable. When we make finishing what we start a part of our routine, we become known as people who can be relied upon to deliver, not just to others, but also to ourselves. Not everyone possesses that skill, and that raises our stock value. There's a lot of distractions, people, and organizations that would rather have us in a cycle of procrastination. It's an easy one to slip into. It can be alluring because, well, it's easy, but that can keep us dependent, compliant, and at best, average. So let's be finishers and rewire ourselves for success. Thanks for watching. In production now, a new animated short to thrill you with action, horror, chuckles, and blood. Your kind support on Patreon gets you a download of the flick when it's finished, plus more. Details can be found at patreon.com/Kevin Cross. Thank y'all in advance for helping me bring Agent Peppermints to life. Rated R.